Rome, a city that ruled kings, defeated empires, built roads across continents, and gave laws to the world. At its height, Roman power stretched from Britain to Egypt, from Spain to the Middle East. Inside the Colosseum, thousands of voices shook the stone walls, gladiators stepped onto the sand, emperors watched from above, and Rome showed the world what power looked like. But Rome was more than glory. It was an idea, an empire, a battlefield, a holy capital, a museum of civilization. And today, in 2026, millions still walk its streets, in a city where history never truly ended. This is Rome, the eternal city. In 100 BCE, Rome was already the heart of a powerful republic. Its streets were crowded with senators, soldiers, traders, slaves, priests, and ordinary citizens. Roman roads connected distant lands. Markets were full of goods from across the Mediterranean. Temples rose above the city, and politics was controlled by powerful families. But behind the glory, Rome was under pressure. The rich were becoming richer. Generals were becoming too powerful. The people wanted land, food, and justice. The Roman Republic looked strong, but inside, it was beginning to break. In 63 BCE, Octavian was born. At that moment, nobody knew this child would one day become Augustus, the first emperor of Rome. But before Augustus, another name would change history forever: Julius Caesar. In 49 BCE, Julius Caesar crossed the Rubicon River with his army. This was a direct challenge to the Roman Senate. Civil war began. Rome was no longer only controlled by laws and debates. Now, armies and generals decided the future. In 44 BCE, Julius Caesar was assassinated in Rome. The senators believed they were saving the Republic, but instead, they created even more chaos. Violence filled Roman politics. The old republic was dying, and a new age was coming. In 27 BCE, Octavian became Augustus. This was the birth of the Roman Empire. Augustus brought peace, order, and construction. Temples were repaired, roads expanded, armies protected the borders, and Rome became the capital of the most powerful empire in the ancient world. By 80 CE, the Colosseum was completed. This giant amphitheater became one of Rome's greatest symbols. Tens of thousands of people gathered to watch gladiators, wild animals, public shows, and imperial celebrations. Rome was magnificent, rich, violent, and unforgettable. In 117 CE, under Emperor Trajan, the Roman Empire reached its greatest size. From Britain to Egypt, from Spain to Mesopotamia, Roman power stretched across continents. Roads, laws, cities, and armies connected the empire. At the center of it all stood Rome, the beating heart of the ancient world. In 212 CE, Emperor Caracalla gave Roman citizenship to nearly all free men in the empire. Rome was no longer just the city of Romans. It had become the symbol of a huge multicultural empire. But even while Rome looked powerful, cracks were appearing. The empire was becoming too large, too expensive, and too difficult to defend. In 284 CE, Emperor Diocletian divided imperial power. The empire needed more than one ruler. Rome remained sacred and symbolic, but political power slowly moved away from the old capital. Other cities became important. Rome was still glorious, but it was no longer the only center of power. In 313 CE, Emperor Constantine legalized Christianity. This changed Rome forever. A religion once persecuted by Roman authorities began to rise. Churches were built. Christian communities grew stronger. Rome slowly transformed from the city of pagan gods into one of the most important centers of Christianity. In 330 CE, Constantine founded Constantinople as a new imperial capital. Rome's political importance declined, but its name still carried unmatched power. Its monuments, roads, temples, and memories reminded the world of its ancient greatness. In 410 CE, Rome was sacked by the Visigoths. For the first time in centuries, enemies entered the Eternal City. The shock was enormous. Rome, once believed almost untouchable, had been humbled. In 476 CE, the Western Roman Empire fell. The last Western emperor was removed. Rome was no longer the capital of a mighty empire. Its population shrank, ancient buildings decayed. The Roman Forum and temples stood like ghosts of a lost world. But Rome did not disappear. Rome changed. By 590 CE, Pope Gregory the Great became one of Rome's most important leaders. As imperial power weakened, the church became stronger. The Pope became not only a religious figure, but also a protector and organizer of the city. Rome was slowly becoming the spiritual capital of Western Christianity. In 800 CE, Charlemagne was crowned emperor in Rome by Pope Leo III. The old Roman Empire was gone, but the idea of Rome still had power. Kings wanted Roman legitimacy. Popes used Roman authority. The city remained sacred, political, and symbolic. From 900 to 1200 CE, medieval Rome was smaller than ancient Rome, but still powerful in meaning. Pilgrims came to visit holy places. Churches rose among ancient ruins. Old Roman stones were reused in new buildings. The city became a mix of faith and memory. Basilicas, towers, narrow streets, and broken columns. In 1309, the papacy moved to Avignon in France. Rome suffered deeply. Without the popes, the city lost wealth and influence. Noble families fought for control. Streets declined. Many monuments were abandoned. In 1377, the papacy returned to Rome. Slowly, the city began to recover. The return of the Pope brought power, money, religion, and politics back to Rome. A new chapter was coming: the Renaissance. By the 1400s, Rome was being reborn. Artists, architects, scholars, and popes looked back to ancient Rome for inspiration. Ruins became models for new beauty. The city began to rise again as a center of art, power, and faith. In 1506, construction began on the new St. Peter's Basilica. This became one of the greatest building projects in Christian history. Michelangelo, Bramante, Raphael, and other masters helped shape the city. Rome became a place where ancient history and Christian glory stood together. In 1527, Rome was brutally sacked by imperial troops. The city faced violence, destruction, and humiliation. The Renaissance dream was shaken. But once again, Rome survived. In 1626, St. Peter's Basilica was completed. Rome became one of the most beautiful religious capitals in the world. Baroque churches, fountains, squares, and palaces filled the city. The Rome of popes and artists became as visually powerful as the Rome of emperors. In the 1700s, Rome became a dream destination for travelers, artists, and scholars. People from across Europe came to study its ruins, sculptures, architecture, and ancient history. Rome was no longer an empire, but it remained a living museum of civilization. In 1798, French revolutionary forces entered Rome and declared a Roman Republic. The old papal order was challenged. Revolution was changing Europe, and Rome again became part of a struggle between faith, power, and modern politics. In 1809, Napoleon annexed Rome into the French Empire. For a short time, Rome became part of Napoleon's imperial vision, but after Napoleon's defeat, papal rule returned. Still, the modern world was coming, and Rome could not stay the same forever. In 1849, another Roman Republic was declared. Revolutionaries dreamed of liberty and Italian unity. Giuseppe Garibaldi and other patriots fought for a new Italy. Rome became a battlefield between old authority and modern nationalism. In 1870, Italian troops entered Rome. Papal rule over the city ended. Rome became part of the Kingdom of Italy. In 1871, Rome officially became the capital of unified Italy. The city entered a modern age. New government buildings, roads, railway stations, ministries, and neighborhoods appeared. Ancient Rome, Christian Rome, and modern Italy now live together in one capital. In the early 1900s, Rome grew as a modern European city. Electric lights, trams, cars, wide streets, and public buildings changed daily life. The city still carried ruins and churches, but now it also carried the energy of the modern age. In 1922, Benito Mussolini came to power after the March on Rome. The fascist regime used ancient Roman symbols to create a new political myth. Mussolini wanted to present modern Italy as the heir of the Roman Empire. Roads were cut through the city, ruins were exposed, and Rome was reshaped for propaganda. In 1929, the Lateran Treaty created Vatican City as an independent state. Inside Rome, a separate sovereign country was born. Rome became both the capital of Italy and the city surrounding the Vatican, the center of the Roman Catholic Church. During World War II, from 1940 to 1945, Rome faced fear, occupation, and uncertainty. Italy entered the war under fascist rule. In 1943, Mussolini fell and German forces occupied Rome. The city lived through hardship, hunger, resistance, and danger. In 1944, Allied forces liberated Rome. Crowds filled the streets. After years of dictatorship and war, Rome began to breathe again. In 1946, Italy became a republic. Rome became the capital of a new democratic Italy. The monarchy ended, and the country began rebuilding after the war. In the 1950s and 1960s, Rome entered a golden age of cinema, fashion, and culture. The city became famous through films, celebrities, cafes, scooters, elegant streets, and beautiful piazzas. Cinecittà Studios helped make Rome a global film capital. In 1960, Rome hosted the Olympic Games. The world saw a modern city surrounded by ancient history. Rome showed that it was not only a city of ruins, it was alive, modern, and international. In the 1970s and 1980s, Rome faced traffic, protests, political tension, and rapid urban growth. But tourism continued to rise. Millions came to see the Colosseum, the Vatican, the Roman Forum, fountains, piazzas, and streets filled with history. In 2000, Rome celebrated the Great Jubilee. Pilgrims from around the world arrived. Churches, monuments, and public spaces were restored. Rome again became a global spiritual destination. In 2020, Rome became silent during the global pandemic. For a city usually filled with tourists, traffic, bells, voices, and footsteps, the empty streets felt unreal. The Colosseum, St. Peter's Square, and ancient roads stood almost silent. By 2026, Rome remains one of the most admired cities on Earth. It is the capital of Italy, the home of ancient ruins, Renaissance art, Vatican power, modern life, tourists, cafes, scooters, and timeless beauty. From 100 BCE to 2026, Rome has been republic, empire, sacred city, battlefield, capital, cinema icon, and global landmark. Empires rose here, emperors ruled here, popes prayed here, armies marched here, artists created here, and millions still walk these streets today. Rome is not just an old city. Rome is the place where history never truly ended. This is Rome, the eternal city.